With over 8,000 plus graduates, Galvanize and Hack Reactor are leading the industry in data science and software engineering education. In this series, we interview students in depth on their educational journey. This is Decode, my coding bootcamp story.
Welcome to Decode, my coding bootcamp story. Today, we are interviewing DJ Park, who graduated from our Hack Reactor Software Engineering Immersive program. So, let's get started. DJ, could you tell me a little bit about your background before you came to Hack Reactor and what inspired you to learn to code?
Sure. So I was a math major student in university, and I had to take one CS course as a math requirement. I really liked it, but I didn't really decide to go into CS major because I was scared of not knowing enough to become a CS major. I went to the military because I'm Korean and every Korean male has to serve for 2 years. And there I met my friend who's actually a CS major, and he introduced me to this wonderful world of coding. I really liked it, and I came back to study CS degree.
So I know a lot of people go through a process when they're just learning software engineering or computer science, this feeling of imposter syndrome, or that feeling of almost feeling inadequacy trying to learn to code for the first time. Is that something you encountered at all?
Yeah, definitely. The major fear that I faced was that a lot of students that I know who are in CS degrees, their parents are software engineers, or they've been coding since middle school, or they were very enthusiastic about coding since they're young. And I was a college student who just got into CS and decided to do CS degree. And that was the biggest imposter syndrome that I suffered from switching from math major to CS degree.
How did you overcome that feeling?
Yeah, actually, Hack Reactor helped me a lot because going through that program really taught me how to learn, and that it is okay not to know something. You don't have to know everything to be a good software engineer. I learned that through the program that Hack Reactor taught me.
That's awesome. You took Hack Reactor during one of your summers of taking college. As somebody who came to the course fresh in the middle of college, what would you say the biggest differences were between university and bootcamp education?
I can speak from my own experience that if you ask any college degree student who went through CS degree, they will not be able to build a full stack application from scratch, even if they completed 4 years. The main difference is that in the university, they teach you the fundamentals, the theory behind it, how the memory works, how the bits works in very low level. And you read a lot of papers that are out there that theorizes all this cool stuff you can build with, but you never really build it with your own hands. It's really ironic that you don't really code that much. I'll say 70% of your homework is just written homework, and 30% is coding. So that's the biggest difference. Whereas Hack Reactor, you just code all day, every day, and that's what I loved about it.
You know, taking both those curriculums, that history of computer science and the background of it with actually the execution of Hack Reactor, what would you say the benefits are of graduating from both programs?
When it comes to optimizing, and if you start thinking about big scale programs, I think you need CS degrees because that's when those theory papers are very handy, and you can think about how to optimize your program, your code, and how to scale your entire application. But as an entry-level software engineer, you don't really have to think about the scalability, or even as a senior engineer, you don't really design the system. There's system designers and there's CTO who directs you to do that. So I think if you are aiming to become a CTO, I think you should definitely get a CS degree or master's at least. Sure. But if you're just enthusiastic about coding and you just enjoy coding, I think bootcamp alone is way more than enough.
I guess thinking through, all of the execution that you did at the boot camp, what is your favorite project you've worked on so far?
Yeah, my favorite project is called Dex. It's a horizontal Kanban board. It's just like Trello, but all the columns are sideways. And it was requested by a user. That was my favorite project because it was the closest thing that I did that mimics the real world work environment, where we had to work in a single repo. We were merging in a single repo, and we had a lot of conflicts with resolves, a lot of dependency issues, and then we had to do continuous integration, continuous delivery. And when I was interviewing a lot of companies, they were very impressed that I already had that experience, because a lot of CS degree students don't have that experience unless they did a really good internship where they actually work in a small team where they do all that kind of process. And they were really impressed that I knew a lot of technologies they use, very up-to-date and most cutting-edge technologies. And that's why I think it was my very favorite project.
Going right into that job search experience right after coming off a project like that, what was that job search process like?
Yeah, it was a little bit different for me than my cohort, because I had to go back to school and finish my degree. But while I was doing that, I was looking for jobs, and I wasn't looking as hard as other people did because I had schoolwork to do. I guess because I was in university, there were a lot of jobs that were looking for recent university grads.
Yeah.
I applied to those, but the one that I got is actually not from one of those. It was actually looking for 2 to 3 years of experience. And I was surprised to got that job because I don't have any experience and they didn't know that. And they chose me because they saw a lot of React projects that I did. And then, like I said, the project that I did with Dex, they were very impressed that I used continuous integration and working in a team setting in a single repo, and that mimics a lot of what they do. So I think that was a very good advantage that I had.
Now that you've graduated with a CS degree, you've got software engineering certification from Hack Reactor, what advice do you have for other people that are in the process of learning to code?
Right. I really encourage you to push yourself really hard. Get yourself out there. Don't just stay in your comfort zone, because that's not going to make you a better coder. And the biggest thing I see in the university is that a lot of students here are doing CS degree because they want the money. They are not very passionate about coding. Mm-hmm. They're just here for the market. And I think people who come to bootcamp, especially Hack Reactor, they're very passionate. They have to go through all this technical screening, and they even have a midterm. If they fail, they have to start over again. I think that's a great process they do to keep people passionate about coding and filter out who are not. And I say you don't have to be feel less than CS degree students, because guarantee you can build better applications than CS degree students, hands down. That's from my experience. So
stay positive, stay confident, and put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Well, DJ, thanks so much for joining us today, and really appreciate you taking the time. I think this is all great information for future software engineers.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for having me. That was a great honor.
Thanks for joining us. This has been Decode, my coding bootcamp story. If you'd like to know more about our programs, please visit galvanize.com or email us at admissions@galvanize.com.